Humanity was utterly screwed, and Sean Henderson knew it. He stood defiant and alone, the sole representative of the human race, facing a sea of mocking alien delegations in the grand auditorium of the Galactic Congress. The Yatarans, those insufferably smug bastards, openly ridiculed humanity's bid for full galactic membership. "Humans contribute anything of value?" sneered Ceres, the Yataran ambassador. "Preposterous." Derisive laughter rippled through the assembly. Sean gritted his teeth, fighting the urge to punch the condescending prick in his scaly face. Suddenly, a distress call blared through the auditorium. Epsilon Colony, a remote human settlement, reported catastrophic life support failures. Thousands of lives hung in the balance. The aliens offered nothing but empty platitudes. "Thoughts and prayers," the Yataran ambassador said dismissively. Rage and determination surged through Sean's veins. He leapt to his feet. "We don't need your thoughts and prayers. We need action. And if you won't help, we'll do it our damn selves." He stormed out, already summoning a team of human experts. Dr. Lena Sorensen, brilliant engineer. Marcus Reeves, grizzled ex-military strategist. Kai Nakamura, resourceful diplomat. Together they raced for Epsilon in a small, fast ship. But as they hurtled through space, Sean couldn't shake the feeling that this was no accident. Sabotage to keep humans on the galactic sidelines, to teach them their place. His jaw clenched with grim resolve. Like hell they would. Humanity would save Epsilon Colony, unravel this mystery, and prove their worth to the galaxy. And if the aliens tried to stop them, heaven help anyone who stood in humanity's way. The small ship hurtled through the lawless expanse of the outer rim, the distant stars blurring into streaks of light as Sean pushed the engines to their limits. In the cramped confines of the cockpit, Lena pored over readouts from Epsilon Colony, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The life support systems are failing fast," she said, her voice tight with urgency. "We need to get there yesterday." Marcus leaned forward, his grizzled face illuminated by the glow of the nav console. "We've got company," he growled. "Scavengers, from the looks of it, and they're coming in hot." Sean's hands tightened on the controls as a battered frigate swooped into view, disruptor cannons overflowing from its pitted hull. "Kai, see if you can hail them. We don't have time for this." Kai's fingers flew over the comms panel, but the frigate opened fire, green bolts of energy sizzling past their viewport. Sean juked hard to port, the inertial dampers whining in protest. "So much for diplomacy," Marcus said, unstrapping himself from his seat. "I'll see what I can do about those guns." As Marcus disappeared aft, Sean wove a dizzying path through the barrage, the ship shuddering with each near miss. Kai's face was pale but determined as he worked to bypass the frigate's jamming. Suddenly, the enemy fire slackened, and Marcus's voice crackled over the intercom. "Got their targeting sensors. That should buy us some time." Sean didn't waste the reprieve. With a final burst of speed, they left the floundering scavengers behind, rocketing towards the imperiled colony. But as Epsilon grew larger in their view screen, it was clear the situation was dire. The domes of the settlement were dark, the usual bustle of activity eerily absent. Sean set them down on the outskirts, the ship's ramp hissing open onto the desolate landscape. Inside, the colonists huddled in fear and confusion, emergency lights casting haunting shadows across drawn faces. Lena made straight for the power grid, her expression grim as she surveyed the damage. "This was no accident," she said, pointing to a tangle of fused relays and melted circuits. "Someone did this deliberately, and whoever it was, they knew exactly what they were doing." As Lena worked feverishly to undo the sabotage, Marcus and Kai moved among the colonists, offering reassurance and what meager supplies they could spare. Sean coordinated the effort, his heart made with barely suppressed anger. Who could have done this, and why target a struggling frontier colony? The questions gnawed at him even as he threw himself into the relief efforts. Hours blurred into days as Lena battled the insidious virus that had crippled the colony's systems. Progress was slow, the damage extensive, but with Marcus's help, jury-rigging bypasses and workarounds, they began to make headway. All the while, Marcus probed for clues to the saboteur's identity. Sifting through the wreckage, he found traces of advanced polymers and alloys, materials far beyond the means of any Outer Rim colony. "The Yattarans," he said, his voice cold with certainty. "This has their fingerprints all over it." Sean's fist clenched at the revelation. The arrogant bastards couldn't even let a helpless colony live in peace. But trying to unravel an alien conspiracy while the lives of thousands hung in the balance, it was almost too much to contemplate. As if sensing his thoughts, Kai laid a hand on his shoulder. "We'll get to the bottom of this," he said, his eyes glinting with commitment. "But first, we need to make sure these people survive." Sean nodded, pushing down his anger and focusing on the task at hand. The Yattarans' reckoning would come. But for now, the colonists of Epsilon needed them. And come hell or high water, they would not let them down. As the days wore on, the situation at Epsilon Colony grew increasingly dire. The air recyclers sputtered, carbon dioxide levels crept upward, and tempers frayed. Lena worked tirelessly, her eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep, fingers flying over holographic displays as she probed deeper into the virus crippling the power grid. Suddenly she gasped, "Sean, Marcus, you need to see this!" They huddled around her workstation, watching as lines of alien code scrolled past. "It's not just a virus," Lena explained, her voice tight with urgency. "It's evolving, adapting to every countermeasure I throw at it. Look here," she pointed to a section of rapidly changing symbols. "It's rewriting itself faster than any system I've ever seen." Marcus frowned. "So how the hell do we kill it?" Lena's eyes glinted with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "We fight fire with fire. I have an idea, but it's risky." She outlined her plan, describing ARES, the Adaptive Resilience and Evolution System. As she spoke, Sean's eyebrows rose higher and higher. "An experimental AI?" Marcus interjected, skepticism etched on his weathered face. "We're betting thousands of lives on an untested program?" "You have a better idea?" Lena shot back. "Because I'm all ears." Sean held up a hand, silencing their budding argument. He looked at each of them in turn, weighing the gravity of the decision. Finally, he nodded. "Do it." Lena's fingers flew over the console, initiating the upload sequence. As ARES integrated with Epsilon systems, the air grew thick with tension. For several agonizing minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then abruptly, every screen in the command center erupted with cascading data. It was as if they were witnessing two titans locked in mortal combat, their blows manifesting as surges of code and countermeasures. "It's working," Lena breathed, her eyes wide as she tracked the digital battle. But their elation was short-lived. Ares began to falter, its adaptive algorithms pushed to their limits by the relentless Yatteran virus. "Come on," Sean muttered, fists clenched at his sides. "Come on!" Just as hope seemed lost, ARES launched a risky move. It created a digital honeypot, drawing the virus into a trap of its own making. In one crushing blow, ARES obliterated the alien code. The command center erupted in cheers as systems across the colony flickered back to life. Lena sagged in her chair, exhaustion and relief warring on her face. "We did it," she whispered. But Sean's elation was tempered by grim reality. They'd won the battle, but the war was not nearly finished. The Yattarans wouldn't take this lying down. As if on cue, a priority message flashed on the main screen. Sean's brow furrowed as he read the cryptic text. "What is it?" Kai asked, stepping closer. Sean's voice was low, wary. "Someone calling themselves the Broker claims to have intel on the Yattarans' plans. Says they're willing to share for a price." The team exchanged uneasy glances. They'd foiled one plot, but it was clear their fight was only beginning. Sean's eyes narrowed as he studied the message from the Broker. His instincts screamed caution, but they were out of options. With a deep breath, he made the call. "We're in," he told the shadowy figure on the screen. "Name your price." The intelligence proved worth every credit. Armed with the location of a secret Yatteran facility in the Krezoth Nebula, Sean gathered his team. Dr. Lena Sorensen, her face set with steadfast perseverance. Marcus Reeves, checking and rechecking his weapons. Kai Nakamura, poring over schematics of Yadarin's security systems. Their stolen ship slipped silently through the swirling gases of the nebula. Ahead loomed a massive structure, its sleek lines a stark contrast to the chaotic beauty surrounding it. "Shields are down," Kai whispered from his console. "We're going in." The infiltration was textbook. Years of covert ops had honed Marcus's skills to a razor's edge. Security systems fell one by one to Kai's deft touch. In the heart of the facility, they found more than they bargained for. Holographic displays filled a cavernous war room, each one detailing plans for attacks on human settlements. Sean's blood ran cold as he saw Epsilon Colony highlighted in angry red. "My God," Lena breathed, studying a nearby screen. "It's not just a virus. They're developing a bioweapon." Alarms blared, shattering the moment. "We've been made," Marcus growled, unslinging his rifle. "Time to split up." Sean nodded, his mind racing. "Marcus, take Thalia and the fighters. Secure us a way out of here. Lena, Kai, you're with me. We need that bioweapon data." As Marcus's team peeled off, Sean led the others deeper into the facility. The sound of gunfire echoed through the corridors, punctuated by the whine of energy weapons. They found the lab, a sterile white expanse filled with alien equipment. Lena's fingers flew over unfamiliar controls, coaxing out the facility's secrets. "It's worse than we thought," she said, her face pale. "This weapon, it's designed to target human DNA specifically. If they deploy this..." A thunderous explosion rocked the facility. Sean's comm crackled to life. "We've secured a ship," Marcus reported, his voice tight with strain. "But Thalia's hit bad. We need to move. Now." Sean looked at Lena, still furiously downloading data. "How much longer?" "Not enough time," she said, frustration evident in her voice. Then her eyes widened. "Unless... Sean, we need to upload Ares." "Here?" Kai asked, incredulous. "Into alien systems?" Lena nodded. "It's our only shot at developing a countermeasure fast enough." Sean hesitated for a split second, then nodded. "Do it." As Lena worked, the sounds of battle grew closer. Sean and Kai took up defensive positions at the lab's entrance, trading fire with advancing Yadarin troops. "It's done," Lena called. "Ares is in their system. It's... oh, wow." On the lab's main screen, a dizzying dance of code unfolded. Ares, pitted against the Yadarin's evolving bioweapon, fought a battle measured in milliseconds and mutations. "We need to go," Sean urged, ducking as energy bolts sizzled overhead. They ran, Lena clutching the precious data module to her chest. Through smoke-filled corridors and past the bodies of fallen friends and foes alike, they raced for the landing bay. Marcus stood at the entrance to a sleek Yadarin warship, laying down covering fire. "Move it!" he bellowed. They piled in, the ship's engines already screaming to life. As they rocketed away from the facility, Sean saw Thalia. She lay pale and still, blood seeping through hasty field dressings. "How bad?" he asked softly. Marcus shook his head, his expression grim. "Bad." In the cockpit, Lena worked feverishly, interfacing the stolen data with their own systems. "Ares did it," she announced, relief evident in her voice. "We have a countermeasure, but we need to get it to Epsilon, fast." Sean nodded, setting course for the beleaguered colony. They'd struck a blow against the Yadarins, but at what cost? And what new challenges awaited them at Epsilon? As stars streaked past the view screen, Sean allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. They'd survived, they had a fighting chance. But the real test was yet to come. The stolen Yadarin ship dropped out of hyperspace, the blue-green orb of Epsilon Colony growing larger in the view screen. Sean's face hardened as he guided them towards the planet's surface. They had won a victory, but at what cost? In the ship's makeshift medbay, Thalia lay motionless on a cot. The frantic efforts to save her had ceased hours ago, leaving only a heavy silence. Marcus stood vigil, his face a mask of grief and anger. As Sean initiated landing procedures, Lena's voice crackled over the intercom. "We have a problem. The countermeasure data is corrupted. I can't access it. Sean's stomach dropped. How bad? Bad enough. We need to reconstitute it from the original Yadarin files, but that'll take time we don't have. The ship touched down on Epsilon's outskirts. As the ramp lowered, Sean saw a small crowd gathered, anxious colonists awaiting news of their deliverance. He turned to his team. Lena, get started on that data. Kai, coordinate with the colony leaders. We need to prepare for potential Yadarin retaliation. Marcus spoke up, his voice tight. What about Thalia? Sean met his friend's gaze, seeing the raw pain there. We'll give her a proper send-off. She deserves that much. Hours later, they stood in Epsilon's small hangar bay. Thalia's body, wrapped in a sheet, lay atop a makeshift funeral pyre. The colony's leaders had insisted on a ceremony, grateful for her sacrifice. As Sean stepped forward to speak, Marcus gripped his arm. This is on you, he hissed. Your call got her killed. Sean opened his mouth to respond, but the words died in his throat. He knew Marcus was lashing out in grief, but the accusation stung nonetheless. The ceremony was brief, solemn. As the flames consumed Thalia's body, Lena approached, her face pale. Sean, you need to see this. In a quiet corner of the hangar, Lena pulled back the sheet covering Thalia's arm. Sean's eyes widened at the sight of metallic implants nestled beneath her skin. Yadarin tech, Lena whispered. Highly advanced, but the integration, it looks forced, non-consensual. Sean's mind raced. What had Thalia been hiding, and how did it connect to their mission? Before he could voice his questions, Kai appeared. Incoming transmission, Sean. It's Admiral Moreau. The holographic face of Admiral Kira Moreau flickered to life. Her expression was grim. Captain, I have grave news. The Yadarin plot goes deeper than we imagined. We're dealing with a full-scale alien alliance, bent on pushing humanity out of the Outer Rim. Sean absorbed the information, his chest tightening. What's our next move, Admiral? We need intel. There's an alien ambassador, codenamed Nexus, who may have critical information. Your team's job is to find and extract them. As the transmission ended, Sean turned to his crew. He saw the weariness in their eyes, the weight of loss heavy on their shoulders. But beneath it all, a spark of grit still burned. All right, he said, squaring his shoulders. Lena, I need you here decrypting those Yadarin files. The rest of us are going hunting. Marcus stepped forward, his eyes hard. I want answers, Sean, about Thalia, about all of this. Sean nodded, meeting his friend's gaze. So do I, and we're going to get them. As they prepared for their next mission, Sean felt the familiar mix of anticipation and dread. They were pushing into unknown territory, facing an enemy more vast and insidious than they'd ever imagined. But as he looked at his team, battered, grieving, yet unbroken, he knew one thing for certain. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them head-on. The galaxy had underestimated them for the last time.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.